into a parking area for the Popemobile. So the crowd should be anticipating his arrival in front of them in just a matter of moments. And there is, in the background, Father Jim, you can see the brightly colored tapestry that's hanging up there. That is the mural that you were talking about.
That's correct.
The one made by Bexar County jail inmates.
That's correct.
I think some 5,000 hours went into it. It's made entirely of pieces of colored yarn, and it is a very symbolic piece of work, as are many of the pieces of work that we've been seeing along the Pope's visit. Much symbolism involved. Everything is carefully thought out to represent as much as possible in a single piece of work that he'll view. Hopefully that he will see. He'll certainly see that one.
The assembled are obviously charged up, if I can use a vernacularism. Jesse Degollado, would you agree with me?
Most certainly, most certainly. They let out a big cheer when they heard he was rounding the corner, and now they're waiting for his entrance. The Prince of the Church, His Holiness Pope John Paul II. They've waited a lifetime, I suppose you could say. This is certainly a historic event, not only for Our Lady of Guadalupe Parish, but for the city's west side. Any moment now he will be coming in. They're all on their feet, they're all clapping. And the music that is so familiar to this city.
Here he comes.
There he is.
Can you see him, Jesse?
Yes, I can. Yes, I can. His Holiness Pope John Paul, making his historic visit to a parish in one of the poorest neighborhoods in San Antonio, but certainly one rich in belief and tradition. He has chosen this parish to deliver the speech that is the focal point of his visit to San Antonio, one on the importance of parish life to a people who certainly consider their parish very important to them. And seeing the Pope here among them is a vivid reaffirmation of their faith, that in spite of adversity, they've been able to overcome because of their faith. For the ancianos, for the old ones, those who remember the hard times all too well, his visit here especially honors them.
The Pope earlier today. Go ahead, Jesse.
I'm sorry. It's also hoped that his visit will be just as meaningful to the younger generation, that it will perhaps strengthen and renew their ties to their church and to their individual parishes. Bob?
Jesse, could you set the neighborhood for us? We understand that Guadalupe Plaza is very close to Alazan Apache Courts, a housing project. Could you tell us about the people there and also other parts of the neighborhood? Because this is a lovely plaza, but it's part of a redevelopment project. So could you tell us what is on the perimeter of the plaza?
As a matter of fact, this whole plaza where he is now is the product of a major urban renewal grant that was made possible by the Avenida Guadalupe Association, which, by the way, was founded partly because of Our Lady of Guadalupe Church. Our Lady of Guadalupe Church has always taken an active role not only in taking care of the spiritual needs of its people, but the social needs as well. As the Pope came over the Guadalupe Bridge, I'm sure he saw the Alazan Apache Courts. Those were built, again, because of the efforts of the parish priest here at Our Lady of Guadalupe Church back in the 1930s, when he focused national attention on the deplorable housing conditions back then. And all through here, for instance, right behind the Avenida Guadalupe, right behind the plaza, rather, we have the Guadalupe Cultural Arts Center and Theater. Their dream is to see this whole area revitalized as a social, cultural, and religious center. And goodness only knows that the Pope's visit here is perhaps going to make that happen, because I think a lot of the people here feel that if this neighborhood is good enough for the Pope, well, then it should be good enough for everyone else.
The Pope spoke earlier today about the need for initiative to change the systems and the mechanisms that perpetuate social injustice and poverty. And really, this parish, Our Lady of Guadalupe, is an embodiment of that, because through the work of Avenida Guadalupe and in history, Reverend Carmelo Francese, who is the parish pastor in 1932, at the time he finally got the federal government to move off Dead Center and build the housing projects. This has been a hotbed of social change on the west side, and now, of course, the Plaza Guadalupe itself, an urban renewal project. So there has been a lot of initiative that has come out of this particular parish.
And he is going to talk, of course, as we've said, on the importance of parish life and activity within a parish. And that's why the people of Our Lady of Guadalupe are so honored, because their church has been selected as a place for him to speak to all churches. And they are very, very overwhelmed by the honors. Jesse has indicated to us. We don't know what type of introductions are in store or whether the Pope will begin his remarks immediately. There are going to be some exchanges here, though, some dialogue with the audience.
I believe he's looking at the tapestry, yes.
Oh, and you know, the men in jail who are behind bars who cannot be there, they must be very touched at this moment that he's acknowledging their work. They wanted to be a part of his visit, and they are.
The Holy Father greets his people at Our Lady of Guadalupe.
The other banners that are hanging were also made for the occasion by members of the 6 parishes, and they were all made, you know, from scratch, you know, by hand. And I just think that it's a way that many people who maybe were not able to be present at Guadalupe Plaza, that they themselves are able to participate in a real personal and bonding way.
I know, Jim, when I was at your parish at St. Timothy's, there was a group of women working last week on a banner, and it was obvious that they were very intent and very excited and very focused on what they were doing.
Well,
and that banner's hanging there tonight,
yeah,
right?
and it's just a great feeling. It's just a great feeling.
He looks genuinely touched by this
He
outpouring
did.
of emotion.
He had a gesture. He touched his head and his eyes. And what did they say, Jim? We heard bienvenidos.
Welcome to Plaza Guadalupe.
Especialmente somos la tercera parte de los católicos de los Estados Unidos son de habla
Archbishop
española.
Flores making the official welcome again.
Somos el grupo que por la gracia de Dios está creciendo más
Having some problems with the audio.
rápidamente
There
en
we go.
este país porque creemos en la familia y en sus valores, en la procreación, y porque la inmigración procedente de todos los países latinoamericanos es cada día más numerosa. Pero nosotros a ellos todos les decimos, bienvenidos, puesto que todos somos hermanos. Juan Pablo II, nosotros los hispanos le amamos mucho y de todo corazón, como lo puede ver por las expresiones de cariño aquí manifestados. Su Santidad, quiero llamar la atención que esta tarde en el desfile, un gran número de tiendas reflejaron la diversidad de actividades religiosas y sociales del pueblo de Dios en los Estados Unidos.
Now going to switch
Los
over to the full
sacerdotes,
translation of the
religiosos,
proceedings.
religiosas, diáconos y todos los fieles son muy generosos en su participación en las actividades evangélicas y en las obras corporales de misericordia. Nuestros fieles son heroicos en su afán por servir a Jesús en la hermana y en el hermano. De ellos estamos sumamente orgullosos. Su Santidad, quiero llamar atención al precioso mural que está a sus espaldas. Usted lo contempló al llegar.
The Archbishop now explaining the mural to
Se
the
ha
Holy Father.
creado con muchísimo cariño para usted por los presos de nuestras cárceles aquí en San Antonio. En sus oraciones pedimos que los recuerde, porque mientras que ellos están presos, nosotros no estamos completamente libres. Pueblo hispano de Dios, representado por los aquí presentes en la Plaza de Guadalupe. Ayúdenme, por favor, a dar una calorosa y amorosa bienvenida a Texas al Supremo Pastor de la Iglesia, Juan Pablo II, con nosotros presente.
The Archbishop asking the people gathered in the plaza to extend a welcome to the Holy Father. The Holy Father will now begin speaking momentarily on parish ministry in the church.
Alabado Jesucristo.
Praise be Jesus Christ.
Amadísimos hermanos y hermanas,
My dear brothers and sisters,
este es un momento de gran gozo para mí.
this is a moment of great joy for me.
Esperado con anhelo este encuentro con vosotros,
I have looked forward to this
miembros de la
meeting with you,
comunidad hispana,
members of
de San
the
Antonio,
Hispanic community of San
que
Antonio.
con vuestra presencia representáis también
Present here
todos
as
vuestros
representatives
hermanos y
of all your
hermanas
Hispanic
hispanos
brothers and
de los
sisters
Estados Unidos.
in the United States.
Os encontráis aquí a la vez como una comunidad parroquial.
You are here too as a
Y
parish
por
community,
consiguiente, a través de vosotros,
and
mis
through you,
palabras se
therefore,
dirigen
my
a
words
cada parroquia
are addressed to
a lo
every
largo y
parish
ancho
community
de
throughout
los
the United
Estados Unidos.
States.
Os saludo a cada uno de vosotros
I greet
con
each one of
gran
you
amor en
with great
nuestro
love
Señor y
in our
Salvador
Lord and
Jesucristo.
Savior Jesus
Me
Christ.
llena de satisfacción el poder hablarlos en español
I am particularly happy
en esta
to speak to you in the
plaza
beautiful Spanish
dedicada a
language,
Nuestra Señora de
in
Guadalupe.
this square named in honor of Our Lady of
Nuestro
Guadalupe.
encuentro aquí, en este año mariano,
Our gathering here is a
una viva evocación
vivid reminder in the
del lugar
current Marian
especial
year
que la Madre del Redentor
of the special place
ocupa
of the Mother
del
of the
misterio
Redeemer
de Cristo
in
y
the
de la
mystery of
Iglesia.
Christ and of the Church.
Al mismo tiempo, nos quiere recordar que nuestra Madre bendita ha sido siempre venerada
It
por
speaks to
vosotros,
us about our dear
fieles
Blessed
de
Mother
cultura
has always
hispana,
been to you people of Hispanic
como ella
culture,
ha ocupado y
and how
continúa
important she
ocupando
continues to be today
un lugar
in your
importante
lives of faith
en
and
vuestra
devotion.
vida de fe y en vuestras devociones. La devoción popular a la Santísima Virgen María se fundamenta en una sólida doctrina y la experiencia
The popular
religiosa
devotion to the Blessed Virgin
auténtica
Mary
es
is
algo
rooted in sound doctrine
apropiado
and authentic religious
e
experience.
importante en la vida
It's appropriate
de todo
and important
seguidor
in the lives
de
of
Cristo.
all Christ's followers.
La herencia hispana de San Antonio
The Hispanic
y
heritage
de
of
todo
San
el
Antonio
suroeste
and the Southwest
es algo muy importante para la Iglesia.
is very important for the
El
Church.
español fue la lengua de los primeros evangelizadores.
Spanish
de este
was the
continente.
language of the first evangelizers of
Precisamente
this
esta región.
continent, precisely in this
Las
region.
misiones aquí en San Antonio y a lo largo de todo
The
el
missions
sureste
here in San Antonio and throughout the
son
Southwest
signos visibles
are
de largos
visible
años
signs
de evangelización,
of the many years of
de
evangelization
servicio asistencial prestado
and
por los
service
primeros
carried out
misioneros.
by the first missionaries.
El anuncio de la salvación en Jesucristo
Their preaching of
venía
salvation in Jesus Christ
refrendado por la integridad de sus
was
vidas,
authenticated by their own integrity of life
tanto
and by the
espirituales
spiritual
como
and corporal
corporales,
works of
que
mercy
ellos practicaban.
and love which they performed.
Siguiendo su ejemplo,
Following their
miles de
example,
abnegados sacerdotes, religiosos, religiosas, laicos, han trabajado
thousands of dedicated priests, religious and lay
para
people
construir aquí
have labored
la iglesia de Dios.
to build up the church here.
Hoy
Today, it is your turn, in fidelity to the gospel of Jesus Christ, with him to build your lives on the rock of your Christian faith. It is your turn to be evangelizers of each other, particularly to those persons whose faith is weak or who have not given themselves to the Lord. May you be no less zealous in evangelization and in Christian service than your forebears. Today, my dear friends, I wish to speak to you about your parish, which is the place, the center of community, in which you nourish and express your Christian life. I wish to speak of the parish as the family of families. For parish life is especially related to the strengths and weaknesses and needs of the families that make it up. There are, of course, many things that could be said about parish life. Today, it is only possible for me to emphasize certain aspects. In the first place, instruction or catechesis. Everyone needs to be instructed in the faith. St. Paul summarizes it this way: everyone who calls upon the name of the Lord will be saved. But how shall they call on him in whom they have not believed? And how can they believe unless they have heard of him? And how can they hear unless there is someone to preach? 2 points. These are two things I wish to emphasize about transmitting the faith. Catechesis has an objective content.
Sobre la marcha o a gusto de cada uno, hemos de recibirla en y de la comunidad de fe.
We cannot invent the faith as we go along. We must receive it in and from the universal community of faith. The Church, to whom Christ himself has entrusted a teaching office under the guidance of the Spirit of truth. Every catechist must sincerely and reverently be able to apply to himself or herself the words of Jesus. My doctrine is not my own. It comes from him who sent me. In the same way, every baptized person, precisely by reason of being baptized, has the right to receive the authentic teaching of the Church regarding moral and doctrinal aspects of Christian life. The other point I wish to make about instruction in the faith is that family catechesis precedes, accompanies, and enriches all other forms of catechesis.
Esto significa
This
que la
means
parroquia,
that the parish,
considerar sus programas de catequesis,
in considering its
ha
catechetical
de
programs,
conceder una atención particular a las familias.
should give particular attention to its families.
Ante todo,
But above
ello
all,
significa que la familia misma
it means that the
es
family
el
itself
lugar preferente, más apropiado
is the
a la
first
enseñanza
and
de las
most
verdades de
appropriate
nuestra
place
fe,
for teaching the truths
para
of the
la
faith,
práctica de las virtudes cristianas,
the practice of Christian
y
virtues,
para el cultivo de los valores
and the essential
esenciales de la
values
vida humana.
of human life.
El segundo aspecto de la vida de una parroquia,
The second aspect
como
of
nos
parish
lo
life
presenta el texto
that is
de los Hechos
contained
de los
in the
Apóstoles
text from the
que
Acts of the
estamos
Apostles
considerando, se refiere a la tarea parroquial de construir una comunidad
concerns the parish's task of building up a living community.
que la parroquia
I
ha
have
de
already
ser
said
una familia
that
de
every
familias.
parish is a family
La
of
vitalidad
families.
de una parroquia
The vitality of a
depende
parish
en gran parte
greatly
del vigor
depends
espiritual,
on the spiritual vigor,
de la actividad
the
de sus
commitment,
familias.
and the involvement of its
Los
families.
sacerdotes, sus colaboradores en la parroquia,
The priests and their collaborators in
todos
a
los
parish
medios
must
para
try
hacerse
to be very
cercanos a
close
las familias
to all
en
families
sus necesidades,
in their need
en el cuidado
for
pastoral,
pastoral care,
así como
and
para proveer aquella ayuda
to provide the
espiritual
support
que
and
precisan.
spiritual nourishment they require.
Cura pastoral de las familias
The pastoral
es un
care of
vasto,
families
complejo ministerio de la
is a
Iglesia.
vast and complex field of the
sobre
Church's
todo,
ministry,
representa un servicio urgente y acuciante,
but it is a
potencial.
most urgent and pressing
Cada
service.
parroquia
Every
ha de
parish
dedicar a esto
must be
sus
fully committed to
mejores
it,
esfuerzos, especialmente en consideración
especially in the
del
face of
hecho de
so
que
much
en la
breakdown
sociedad presente la vida familiar se ve
and the
amenazada
undermining of family life in
y en
society.
peligro de disolución. Dirijo un llamado a los sacerdotes,
I appeal to all priests, pastors,
demás
associates,
responsables,
all
a los
concerned,
diáconos
to
permanentes,
the permanent deacons,
religiosas, religiosos y
and to the
laicos
religious and lay leaders,
comprometidos para que
to do everything
en
possible,
una pastoral de conjunto
joined
hagan
with their pastors,
cuando esté en su mano para servir a la familia
to serve the
sus
family
necesidades
and its
del
needs
modo más eficaz posible.
as effectively as possible.
Esto implica la proclamación
This
y
involves
reservas de toda la verdad sobre el matrimonio,
proclaiming the
la
whole
vida
truth
familiar,
about marriage and family
la
life,
naturaleza exclusiva del amor conyugal,
the exclusive nature
la
of conjugal love,
indisolubilidad del matrimonio,
the indissolubility
las
of marriage,
enseñanzas auténticas de la Iglesia sobre la transmisión de la
the
vida
Church's full
y el
and authentic
respeto
teaching on the
debido
transmission
a
of
toda
life,
la vida humana desde
and the
el
respect
momento
due
de su
to human
concepción
life
hasta
from the
la
moment of
muerte
conception
natural.
until natural death.
Como también
Also,
los derechos
the
y
rights
deberes de los padres
and duties of
a
parents
educar a sus hijos,
with regard to the education of their
particularmente
children,
lo que se refiere a la formación religiosa,
especially
y a la
their
educación
religious
en
and moral
materia de
formation,
moral, sin olvidar una adecuada educación sexual.
including proper sex
Además,
education.
los padres y demás miembros de la familia
Parents and
han
family
de ser
members
ayudados,
must, moreover,
sostenidos en su empeño
be helped and
por
sustained
vivir
in their
las
struggle
verdades sagradas de la fe.
to live by the sacred truths
La
of faith.
Iglesia, por consiguiente, ha de proveer a las familias
The Church must
aquella ayuda
furnish families
espiritual que es
with the
necesaria
spiritual means
para
of persevering in their
perseverar
sublime
en su
vocation
vocación sublime y para crecer
and of
en la santidad
growing
a la
in the
que Cristo
special holiness
nos ha
to which
llamado.
Christ calls them.
Al igual que la parroquia es responsable de la familia,
Just as the parish is responsible for the family, so the family must be aware of its obligations to the parish, which is the larger family. In these days, Catholic couples and families must think especially of the service which they have a duty to render to other couples and families, especially those who experience problems. This apostolate of couple to couple and family to family can be carried out in many ways. Prayer, good example, counseling, formal or informal instruction, and material assistance of many sorts. I appeal to you, the Catholic families of the United States, be true families, united, reconciled, and loving. Be true Catholic families, prayerful communities, living the Catholic faith, open to the needs of others, taking part fully in the life of the parish and of the church at large. Another fundamental aspect of parish life is the worthy celebration of the sacraments, including sacramental marriage. This sacrament forms the stable basis of the whole Christian community. Without it, Christ's design for human love is not fulfilled. His plan for the family is not followed. It is precisely because Christ established marriage as a sacrament and willed it to be a sign of his own permanent and faithful love for the church that the parish must explain to the faithful why all trial marriages, merely civil marriages, free unions, and divorces do not correspond to Christ's plan. The sacramental life of the church is centered above all upon the Eucharist, which celebrates and brings about the unity of the Christian community, unity with God and unity with one another. In the Mass, the sacrifice of the cross is perpetuated throughout the centuries until Christ comes again. The body and blood of the Lord are given to us as our spiritual food. The parish community has no greater task or privilege than to gather, like Christ's first disciples, for the breaking of the bread. I now repeat especially to all parishes the invitation already addressed to the whole church to promote and foster public and private devotion to the Holy Eucharist also outside of Mass. For in the words of the Second Vatican Council, the most blessed Eucharist contains the Church's entire spiritual wealth, that is, Christ himself.
La vida sacramental de una parroquia
The sacramental life of a parish also extends to the other sacraments, which mark the important moments of the life of individuals and families and of the entire parochial community. I wish to mention in particular the sacrament of penance. And the important need for Catholics to confess their sins regularly. In recent years, many have grown neglectful of this wonderful gift by which we obtain Christ's forgiveness of our sins. The state of the sacrament of penance in each parish and in each local church is a good indicator of the authentic maturity of the faith of the priests and the people. It is necessary that Catholic families instill in their members a deep love of this beautiful means of reconciliation with our Heavenly Father, with the Church, and with our neighbor. Parents, more by example than by words, should encourage their children to go to confession regularly. Parishes need to encourage families to do this. They need support. They need to support them through proper catechesis. Needless to say, priests, who are the ministers of God's grace in this sacrament, should make certain that the sacrament is conveniently available in its authorized forms. Finally, I refer briefly to the life of prayer as it manifests itself within the Christian community. This is an area in which the interaction between the family and the parish is especially clear and profound. Prayer begins in the home. The prayers that serve us well in life are often those learned at home when we were children. But prayer in the home also serves to introduce the children to the liturgical prayer of the whole church. It helps to apply the gospel. Toda persona activa en la vida de la parroquia ha de sentirse responsable en alentar y contribuir por todos los medios a la oración en familia. Y las familias mismas
the families themselves should be responsible and commit themselves to establish prayer in the family so that prayer may integrate itself in the true ecclesial community. I am happy to know that the number of Hispanic priests and men and women religious is growing, but many more are needed. Young Hispanics, is Christ calling you? Hispanic families, Hispanic families, are you willing to give your sons and daughters to the church's service?
que envíe operarios a su mies.
Do you ask the Lord to send laborers into his harvest?
Necesita operarios que trabajen en la abundante mies de la comunidad hispana y en toda la
Christ
iglesia.
needs Hispanic laborers for the great harvest of the Hispanic community and the whole church.
Antes de terminar, deseo alentar a todas las familias y parroquias a no encerrarse en sí mismas,
And finally, I wish to
a no
encourage
mirar
all
solo a sus
families and
propios
parishes
problemas
not to
o
be
realidades.
inward-looking, not to dwell on themselves.
Jesús nos manda salir de
Jesus
nosotros mismos
commands us to serve
para
our
servir al
neighbor,
hermano, para
to reach
buscar
out to those in need.
al que tiene necesidad. Yo os pido de modo especial
And I ask you
salir
especially
al encuentro de aquellos hermanos y hermanas en la fe
to reach out to
que
those
viven
brothers and sisters in the faith
desorientados a causa de su propia indiferencia
who have drifted away because of
o
indifference,
de alguna manera han sufrido heridas en carne propia.
or who have been hurt in some way.
Invito a todos cuantos abrigan dudas acerca de la iglesia, que piensan que acaso no van a
I
ser
invite
bien
all of you
recibidos,
who are unsure about the
a
church,
venir
or who
a
doubt
la
that
casa grande
you will be
de
welcome,
esta familia de familias,
to come home to the family of
entrar
families,
en el hogar de vuestra parroquia.
to come home to your
Allí
parish.
tenéis un sitio que os pertenece. Ella ha de ser como vuestra familia dentro de la iglesia, y la iglesia es la
It is your
morada
family
de
in the
Dios,
church, and the church
en
is
la
the
cual
household of
nadie
God,
ha de
in which there are no
sentirse extraño.
strangers or aliens.
Nos encontramos reunidos frente a una parroquia cuya titular es Nuestra Señora
We are
de
gathered
Guadalupe.
in front of a parish which is dedicated to Our Lady of
Madre de la
Guadalupe,
Iglesia.
Mother of Jesus,
Madre
Mother
también
of the
de las
Church,
Américas,
Mother of the Americas,
particularmente de México.
and particularly Mexico.
Cuando Jesús estaba muriendo en la cruz,
When Jesus died on the
confió
cross,
su madre al discípulo que la amaba,
he entrusted
San
his
Juan.
mother to his beloved
El
disciple
Evangelio
John.
nos dice que desde aquel momento
The Gospel
el
tells us
discípulo tomó a María en su casa.
That from that moment the disciple took Mary into his home.
De celebrar este año mariano, que recibiendo
What better
a
way is there for you to celebrate this
la Madre del
Marian year
Redentor, en
than by
vuestras
taking Mary,
propias casas?
the mother of the Redeemer, into your homes?
Con ello, vosotros la imitaréis en su fe y en su seguimiento de Cristo.
This means imitating her
De
faith
esta
and
manera,
discipleship.
la tendréis también
It means
presente
keeping her
en
present in your
vuestra-
family
vuestra
prayers,
plegaria familiar,
especially
especialmente rezando el rosario en
praying
familia.
the family rosary.
Volveos a ella,
Turning to her,
poneos bajo su intercesión, pidiéndola la gracia, la
asking her
concesión
intercession
de una vida
for the
renovada.
grace of conversion and renewal,
Encomendaos vosotros y vuestras familias, a
entrusting
su
yourselves and your
protección
families
maternal.
to her
Que
maternal
Dios
care.
os bendiga a cada uno de
May
vosotros.
God bless each and every one of you.
Él bendiga a vuestras familias,
May He
a
bless
vuestras parroquias.
every family and parish.
Que la Santísima Virgen de Guadalupe
May the Most Holy Blessed
proteja
Virgin of
siempre a
Guadalupe
toda la población hispana.
love and protect the Hispanic people of the land.
Viva la Virgen de Guadalupe.
Long live the Virgin of Guadalupe.
And so concludes the Pope's only Spanish address of his 9-city U.S. tour, one conducted in Castilian Spanish, a more formal liturgical type of language than the Tex-Mex that is perhaps more common in the barrios. He spoke about Catholics and faith, saying that Catholics cannot invent faith as they go along, addressing what has been an ongoing American dissent, in some senses, of certain aspects of Catholic faith. He reaffirmed exclusive, monogamous marriage, the importance of it, and the unacceptability of divorce. He reaffirmed the teachings of life from conception to death, again rejecting abortion and euthanasia, and said no to premarital sex.
Some chants and things I believe we're hearing. Can you hear what they're saying?
¿Cómo se podía hablar fuertemente sin micrófono?
And now they are presenting
porque dejó su casa divina para traernos el mensaje sagrado. Tiene usted este regalo de la iglesia de Nuestra Señora de Guadalupe, la señora Menchaca, el padre Rodríguez y el señor Martínez. Entregamos en sus manos esta ofrenda.
And Martinez and Edmundo Rodriguez. There's the presentation of the mural of Our Lady of Guadalupe. Simon Martinez is the chair of the board of directors for the West Side Parish Coalition, and his daughter, when she was born ill and had to have numerous serious operations.
Is that the little girl?
That's the little girl there, and this is just an extremely special event for themselves. I got a letter from the Martinez family, and this whole experience and being asked to be there is just a very faith awakening and just a wonderful, blessed event for themselves.
The Pope just gave each of them something, Father. Do you know what it was?
I think it's little retratos or little remembrances of the day.
Little mementos.
Little mementos.
As if they would need anything to remember the day.
Oh, I just think that this is something that they're always going to carry within their hearts and their lives. And they're singing the Mañanitas, which is a traditional song that we sing on special occasions for birthdays or anniversaries.
We want to go now. We want you to stay so we can talk to you some more, but right now we want to go live to Jesse Degollado, who is in the midst of this all and I'm sure has some comments for us on this extraordinary event. Jesse Degollado.
It's been an emotional time here. Although the Pope has been here less than an hour, he has certainly given this neighborhood and its people a lifetime of memories. The Pope and those here share a special devotion to the Virgin Mary, as you heard La Virgen de Guadalupe, who is so much a cultural and religious symbol to Mexicans and Mexican-American Catholics. And as you heard toward the end of his speech, he called upon La Virgen to love and protect the Hispanic people of this land, who certainly love him. Back to you, Bob and Deborah.
Thank you, Jesse.
This was an affirmation more of families than it was of parish life, as we had understood in advance of the papal visit that he would be speaking on parish life. Is it any less relevant for that?
Well, I think that it's within the parish for a lot of our people, that it is in the local parish community where the family, in a very special way, finds its strength and where it finds its unity. And the Holy Father, certainly in his message, reaffirmed families, and also in a very, very special way, reaffirmed the Hispanic family and its importance within the universal church, within the church here in the United States.
Father Wright, we don't have much time left before we have to return to programming. Some thoughts from you on what the Pope said in his very special visit to a very special part of the city.
I think he chose to take the opportunity just to underline the Catholic teaching on the family and to take the opportunity as in a parish to do that. I think it was pretty, in a sense, predictable what he said.
All right. Well, definitely an attempt, a hope there to re-evangelize the Hispanic community. We've read a lot of statistics lately. We won't go into all that now how many Hispanic Catholics have lost touch with the faith, and the Pope made reference to that and urged the people there to bring those people back.
Now, as we close, let's go back out to Plaza Guadalupe for the video that we have been waiting so many months to see, the Pope in San Antonio. We will tell you that from here he goes on to Assumption Seminary, where he will meet with 1,000 Americans of Polish descent. They will make an address to him. He will make an address to them. Another dialogue with the Pope. We will cover that, although not live, and be back here at 10 o'clock with a recap of the entire day, the papal visit to San Antonio. See you at 10 o'clock.